All right, guys. So I don't have a whole lot of video for you this week, mostly because I just didn't really get a lot accomplished. Sometimes that's gonna happen. Sometimes you're just not gonna have motivation. In my case, I had a bunch of crappy days. Not necessarily crappy. Yesterday was kind of crappy. I'll insert some information about that here. If anyone has ever questioned the kind of luck that I have, I just left the dump and was unable to empty 3 of my jugs. And as soon as I turned, it tipped over and popped the lid off. So now currently on the side of the road, my car is peeing from the back. Today wasn't bad. I started the day off. I went and helped the owner of that beautiful root beer Camaro out, get a bolt unstuck from a transmission. Not a super long job. I didn't record anything there because it just was an in and out type of deal. But then I came here, and we can take a gander here together. Ooh, look at that! Like, oh, look at it. There's no wood. There's no worm clamps. Steering is pretty much in place. There's a couple more welds I need to do, but I burnt up my diffuser in my cup and I don't have any more, so I can't do anything about that. It's doing what it's going to do. So yeah, but I was able to get that done. Now next week all I need to do is order a 3/4 double D shaft and another end. Put this here. So, steering column for the RX-7. There is a 1/2 inch double D here, but this section here is actually what pokes through the firewall. So what I'm going to do is get an adapter that fits this. There's no spline here, so just something close, which I think is 5/8. Potentially have to drill it out, but it'll slip over this. And when it slips over this, I'll weld it in place, and then it'll be 3/4 double D on the other end. And we'll go 3/4 to 3/4. That will give us our full steering. And that essentially completes steering on the car. And that will be a full conversion to a steering rack instead of a steering box. For those of you who might be new, these cars come with a steering box, which goes, move this out of the way. Back in there, it takes up a bunch of space. It's rather massive. It requires that these be rear steer setups. So the spindles, the tie rods are in the back. I've now converted it to the front using stock spindles by drilling out the ball joint holes to fit the Mustang spindle, or the Mustang ball joint, excuse me, for the tie rod, because eventually this will have Mustang front suspension. I might have to, on this, I think we're gonna have to get a bump steer kit, because, let's go back down. Let's look. Yeah, you can see it's rather tight. So I think when I get a bump steer kit, it will allow me to drop this tie rod down a little bit, because right now it just sits like a normal tie rod. And at which point it'll give me a clearance from this bar. But essentially, at the moment, no one can argue that we're a stock front suspension car. Even when we go Mustang, it still can't argue a stock for suspension car, because Mustangs use exactly the same type of setup. So the only difference is I'll be using a different knuckle, which is still stock location, stock style, stock everything. It just gives us options for being able to actually do things. Next week, your updates will be non-existent. You will get to see some racing. I'll be in New Hampshire for the 350 Super Modified race, which means I will get 0 done on her because I won't be here. But I will post a video from that. And then when I come back, we gotta just put in work. I don't think the harness idea that I was looking to do with the standalone is gonna work, at least not using the one I currently have. So I have someone that does have a Fuel Tech harness, but I just currently can't afford it. So hopefully I can get a few side jobs or whatever and make up for it, and we can get that done. And that'll take care of wiring on the car. And then we need camshaft, lifters, valve train. The heads need to get sent off to Precision Porting Services in Texas so we can get those ported. Huge shout out to them, awesome people. And then I gotta figure out what I'm doing intercooler wise. That's the next debate. I might switch to an air to water and stick it over in this hole, potentially. I'm not really sure yet, but we'll see. Because air to water saves a lot of the plumbing. Essentially this can just go over there, and then we can do a little whoop-de-doo and have it come up there. This can go like this, and we can, you know, whoop-de-doo into here. I thought about just using a tight 90 and going, and then just having it come right here. That's a possibility too. I just gotta decide. I gotta stop being indecisive, finish that. I also need to weld that, which I haven't finished yet. But that's gonna do it for this week. Bunch of rambling, bunch of stuff that didn't really happen. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this week. As always, comment, like, share, subscribe, get up and get after it.